Hello everybody, I am Fuzzyface and welcome back to this Ferrari challenge once again. It seems like we've been off a little while since the last episode came out. That is because if you do play this game you will know that there has been an update to the game in which it added a few little bug fixes and that, and obviously the biggest thing was the addition of the Steam Workshop, so it will make it a lot easier to get mods and so on and so forth. As you can see, we've got a nice little driver portrait edition going on in this game. But what happened after the mod came out is that it sort of messed up all the teams. We've managed to keep all the names, but we've lost all the track names for the time being. I could actually go in and edit that possibly, but I haven't actually got round to doing that little bit of an edit so far. So we've got Yokohama coming up. This is actually the Suzuka Grand Prix, but when we actually go on to like Red Bull, it has actually like reverted back to the base game logos. So even though that is Red Bull, it's shown as Panther. I did manage to get the team colours back to normal and got a livery from the Steam Workshop that has pretty much got all the teams back to how they were. So I managed to take the colour file from the old mod, transfer it into the assets file here, which has made it so that even though we don't have the right logos on the teams at the moment around here, we do have the right colours for the car, so at least we do know who they are. And it does say here we've still got a little bit of work to do here. As you know, if you do play this game and you've got this mod, it is the ends only mod from racedepartment.com. I think he's going to be releasing the new update to this in a day or two, so everything should be fixed by then. Meanwhile, I've done a little bit of work to it myself, in that I only had time to update the Ferrari logo, so at least we've got our logo in the game. The drivers are there. What else did I do to this game? Yeah, just the colours of the team. So because when we would be doing the races, all the colours of the teams would have changed. So thankfully we've managed to get all the team colours back to normal, so when we actually run the race we're going to be able to tell who's who on the track. Other than that, in the downtime between the first Grand Prix of the season, Doha, where Vettel had a really nice comfortable win, 49 seconds, well 50, almost 50 seconds to Ricciardo in third place, Perez not too far behind. I have done a little bit of work on the car. What we have built is, let's get to the right place. If you remember, we did build an engine early on just so Vettel and Perez have got a comparable engine. That's what I'm concentrating on doing first. I've built a new rear wing, so Vettel and Perez will have near enough identical parts there. This is not good enough to go in the race at the moment. Also, a new set of brakes has been built. Vettel does want the new brakes because he's not actually too unhappy with that now. There was something else making him unhappy. Maybe we'll give Perez a better brakes just to get Perez's car as close to Vettel's as we can, just so these two are a bit more competitive at the front and we don't have Vettel running miles away from Perez. Obviously both our Ferraris are going to pull miles away from the rest of the field, but I do want our drivers to be competitive with each other. Whether that can be done or not is another question, because Vettel is just under a 5-star rated driver. Perez is just over a 4-star rated driver, so we want to get them as close to each other as we can. Hopefully that can happen. We might risk upsetting Vettel and giving Perez a tiny little bit of a better car, just so it stacks them up a little bit more evenly, because the plan here is that Mick Schumacher is going to get the 2018 seat. I'm not sure whether I'm going to keep Perez. I'm not sure whether I'm going to keep Vettel, or maybe I'm going to get rid of Vettel and Perez altogether, bring Mick in, have Charles Leclerc in the number 2 seat, which is a long-term plan here. I do want the Ferrari Academy drivers in the seat, maybe bringing Charles Leclerc up a lot sooner than later would be the best thing. Then we've got two drivers that aren't quite up to spec, and even though we've got the best car, it might still be a little bit more competitive then. Maybe that is the challenge that we should go with next season, with Schumacher in the number 1 seat, Charles Leclerc in the number 2 seat, and just see what we can get out of those two drivers. I think that would be an interesting challenge. As you can see, we've also lost the sponsors. I haven't had a chance to do any work on the sponsors, and with the Enzoli mod now coming out in a day or two, everything should be fixed here. But we've got quite a lot of money coming. We've got £1 million per race coming in. It should be quite easy to get this first place bonus, where we can get 1.7 million per race. We do have this one available. We could choose one of these sponsors. Obviously this one is quite a big chunk here, 650,000 with a 2.5 million upfront payment. I have been tempted to take that. I have to be honest, I've been tempted to take that, but we do have 5-star sponsors now, and I'm hoping that once these expires, we're going to get some nice 5-star sponsors in. Hopefully it's going to be quite a lot better than this one. I'm hoping that it's going to be a little bit better than that one. But that's where we're at the moment. We've got Suzuka coming up. It looks like it's going to be wet for the race. It's going to be sunny for qualifying. Practice, it's going to be overcast, which means we could have a little bit of rain. Deceleration, medium corners, crucial. It doesn't tell me the temperature here, so I'm not quite sure what the tyre wear is going to be around this track, but fuel burn is low, so we should be. Not that any of this matters to us with how powerful our Ferrari is at the moment, but I'm going to jump into practice now, and as usual we'll come back when it's our time to set the qualifying lap. So practice over. Vettel a lot quicker than the next quickest car. Carlos Sainz actually got a third there, so I'm not sure how it's going to, it never seems to tie up to what qualifying does anyway. But we put Mick Schumacher in the number 2 seat for practice. He did pretty well, just over a 1:17, the second quickest driver. Obviously the Ferrari really strong, but not too far behind Vettel, so that bodes well to how far Perez is actually going to be behind Vettel now. So hopefully it's going to be a lot closer in qualifying. So we'll come back when we're about to set a flying lap, and we'll see how we do from there. Right, so here we go with the first qualifying lap. Perez out first, Vettel not too far behind. We've done this lap on a pair of super soft tyres that have been used during practice. Not used too much, but still used quite a bit. Obviously Vettel's, Perez's have been used a lot more than the ones Vettel is on. That is because if you watched last season's, there was a vote that means we don't get to choose our own tyre compounds for the weekend. They are pre-distributed, so we're only 5 of each type. So to make sure we've got enough super softs for the race, we've used a pair of used ones here. Perez goes quickest at the moment, but it looks like Vettel's going to be quite a little bit in front of that. Vettel does it in a 1:13.1, Perez in a 1:13.7. Hamilton, the next quickest car, at 1:14.4, 1.2 seconds behind. That's not as far ahead. Vettel is not as far ahead in this race as he was in the last one, so we're going to set another qualifying lap just to make sure. We do have a fresh pair of super softs for qualifying, which is the one that I was saving. We're going to end up using those towards the end of this session. We'll come back again when it's time for that qualifying lap, and let's just see if we can get under let's just see if we can get into 1:12s with Vettel, and see if we can get somewhere close to that with Perez, because he's obviously got a lot more time to make up in that half a second, because his tyres were a lot more worn than the ones Vettel had, so maybe he's got a little bit more time to find, and we'll see how they get on in their next qualifying lap. So here we go with the second qualifying lap. Vettel is out first. This time we've gone the other way around. We've allowed Perez to come out second. Vettel is actually going quicker than his last lap here. He sets the quickest first sector. Obviously we're on nice fresh tyres this time, so both cars should be going quicker than their last lap. Perez is a tiny little bit behind Vettel, about 0.2. Vettel's still going quick here. He's not going much quicker. It's still quicker than quite a bit. 1:13. He doesn't get into the 1:12s. He's only just a tiny little bit quicker than his last lap. Perez, meanwhile, he's only going to be a little bit quicker than his last lap as well. 1:13.7, he improves to a 1:13.6. So not much difference there between the tyres. I do know the tyres have a drop-off point. I think with the softest tyre of the weekend, you usually get 3 laps before the time. You get 3 laps before... Let's try and figure out a word this. With the softest tyre, you get 3 laps before there's a performance drop-off. And then, like with the softest tyre, it goes 3, 4, and then 3 again, or something like that. Where you get 3, 4, and then another 2 laps before the tyre totally goes out. So for the first 3 laps, the tyre's going to be the quickest. For the 4 laps in between, it's going to be like a second slower, or up to 1.5 seconds slower. And then for those last 2 laps, before the tyre drops off completely, like when you hit the red before the cliff, before you hit the cliff where the tyres drop off completely and you lose a ton of time, it probably drops about 3 seconds or so. Then, with the next softest compound, I think it's 452, something like that. I can't remember quite what the text file says, but those are the drop-off points for the tyres. So with the super soft, you're going to get 3 nice quick laps, 4 medium, whereas with the soft tyre, you get 4 laps where you can go quicker, and then about 5 where you're a little bit slower than that. Obviously, the soft tyres are a bit slower. But here we go with the race. It is raining in Suzuka. It doesn't look like it's going to be raining for long, so we're going to be able to push a pair of intermediates for quite a little bit. We do have the intermediate boost. Obviously, it's going to be dry for quite a lot longer here, so we're going to go with the super soft boost. And obviously race trim. We got pretty close with the setup. We don't actually have to be too accurate with this setup since the car is so overpowered at the moment. Obviously, an intermediate tyre can do 10 laps here. We only need to get to somewhere about lap 6, it looks like, at which point we could finish a race on 2 sets of super softs from that point. So that is going to be the plan, possibly for both cars here. I don't think Perez has much difference. No, the tyre, he can get the same amount of a tyre as Vettel can, so that's going to be the plan for both cars. So we just want to see whether Vettel is a lot quicker than Perez now that they have, the cars are getting, they're not very similar, but his car is catching up a little bit. So let's just see how we can do here. So Sergio Perez, so Vettel, Sergio Perez, Hamilton in third. You've got Max Verstappen in the Red Bull, Ricciardo, Carlos Sainz rounding out the top three, rounding out the third row of the grid. What am I saying? We've got Kimi Raikkonen up there in 7th in the Force India, Rosberg in the Williams, Bottas in the Williams, Hulkenberg in the Force India in 10th. We got Fernando Alonso doing a lot better than he did last season, up in 11th. That's nice to see. We got Julian Palmer and Roman Grosjean in the Toro Rossos in 12th and 13th. Kevin Magnussen in Renault in the 14th. And then we've got a Haas with Esteban Gutierrez in 15th, Verline in 16th, Kvyat, Rafael Marciello quite far down the order there for McLaren in 18th, and Ocon and Jordan bringing up the rear of the grid in the Manor and Renault. Obviously Carmen Jordan is the worst rated driver in F1 at the moment. I don't know why she's got this seat. Who knows why Renault put her in this seat, but she is absolutely terrible. Yeah, I've gone on enough about what Renault did. I don't know why that happened. Who knows, but let's get on with a race now. Hopefully we get a nice good start here. It looks like we're away pretty quickly. Perez challenging Vettel down at the second corner there as we hit this. Oh, is Perez going to get it? No, he gives up. He gives up on the overtake. Lets Vettel go through, which means Perez is now defending from Hamilton. It looks like Hamilton's about to get past Perez here, which should be interesting. Now we're going to see if Perez is good enough to overtake Hamilton. It looks like we're not getting too much distance here. Hamilton is actually gaining. Is that because they're pushing? Yeah, Hamilton's got his engine in overtake mode here, so he's really going to have to recover that fuel at some point, which would allow Perez to get back up to order. Perez is actually dropping behind a tiny little bit. We're going to have to wait until Hamilton drops down before we decide to do anything else here. Perez is a little bit easier on the fuel than Vettel, so he can afford to be in push mode for a little bit longer. We don't want to go too long in push mode with Vettel. We might as well turn down to medium here. We might as well try and conserve. No, we don't even need to conserve a tyre, do we? What are we doing? Let's go in attack mode. Obviously, they might have fixed some of the crash issues that we've had with the old patch. Maybe they've tightened that up a little bit. I know it sort of wrecked my Predator series in that I was waiting for another patch to go out before I went back to my Predator series, because we just seemed to be crashing every race in the Predator series. So hopefully in attack mode, whilst the track is wet, we're not going to see any problems here and have one of our cars crash. And it looks like, what happened there? We weren't even concentrating on Perez. He's got down past Hamilton on the straight because we're in attack mode here. How much are we going to get out of this tyre? We don't have to go a long time here. Maybe we should go back down to push mode just in case these tyres don't last long enough. They are nice and hot. We've got the engine on medium. We're going to try and conserve some fuel. We really don't need to push anything with this car since it is so powerful. Absolutely amazing car is this 2017 car that we've got. Right, so we're back on the 6th lap now. It's still raining, but it's about to stop, so we're bringing them into the pits. A bit slow on the pit stop there with Vettel. Held Perez up a little bit, and we've made a mistake on Perez's pit stop. So is Perez going to get back out now? Perez is actually quite far down the order here. Absolutely ridiculous pit stop there from our pit team. Has put him behind. It's because Hamilton's actually not gone into the pits for some reason. Is he actually going to be quite a bit quicker on that pair of intermediate? Everyone else seemed to pit apart from Hamilton. Maybe he's going to try and catch back up with us here. But that pit stop from Perez has allowed Sainz and Ricciardo ahead of him here. And it looks like we've got up to about lap 12. It's going to be dry. And then it's going to start raining. We're going to be on wets from lap 14, it looks like, till the end of the race. So we're going to hang on till maybe about lap 15. So we can keep pushing this tyre without too much worries. How far are we behind Hamilton here? About 14 seconds. It looks like we're going to get back past him whilst he's in the pits. There's a lot of cars struggling in the pits here. Were these all held up as other cars made a pit stop? It seems a bit weird that we've lapped everyone by. We've lapped up to about place 15 after one After one pit stop, yeah. So Perez now currently in 5th. Hamilton's in front of him. We've got a bunch of back markers here. We do have quite a bit of fuel, so we might as well bump him up to high mode. We might as well put Perez up into high mode. Vettel doing his quickest lap, obviously, since the track is now dry and he's on the super softs. What time is he going to do? He's going to do this lap in a 1:19.6. Sainz does it in a, where's Sainz? 1:20.9. So about 1.3 seconds quicker at the moment. Perez, meanwhile, struggling. We'll just leave Vettel out in front. We don't have to worry about Vettel. We just want to move Perez back up the order here. Getting held up by a few back markers, and we go through a back marker there. Who was that? Who was that? We just went straight through that car. 14th. That is Raikkonen in the other Force India. Already been lapped. He's made a pretty bad start there, hasn't he? I think he was in 7th on the grid. So Perez now up in 13th as we somehow morph through Raikkonen on that corner and get in front of Ricciardo there. So now we've got the two Mercedes up in front. So we're going to get to see the power of this Ferrari as we're now right on the back of Carlos Sainz here, who moved to Mercedes last season as a reserves driver. Obviously, Mercedes didn't want to keep Rosberg. Rosberg left. He is now at Williams. He's all the way down in here. In 10th is Rosberg. Sainz keeping up his end of the bargain, and Perez makes a mistake there, which has allowed Ricciardo to come flying through, and Ricciardo's now got the jump on Sainz here. Don't think Perez has quite got the speed on that straight to get past Sainz here, but he does on that nice little overtake move there, and we're now still back behind Ricciardo here. So we're going to see if we quicker down the Red Bull. What we need to do is get on them on this straight, although we don't. We've got quite a bit of tyre to push with here, haven't we? He actually pushes tyre quite a bit because we're going to be coming in two. No, we want to be waiting until we can put the wet tyre on, don't we? So maybe we should just run in push mode here until we can swap to a wet tyre. Just want to see what Perez can do. Maybe as we hit this straight now, we can run in overtake mode as we hit these couple of fast corners. Maybe overtake mode will give Perez the speed he needs on this straight to blow past Ricciardo here. And it does. Perez gets past pretty easily there. How far are we behind Hamilton? 4.5 seconds. Are we actually gaining? What is Hamilton doing at the moment? He's got everything in neutral and medium. Are we going to be gaining here a little bit? We do have some room to push high mode. Let's try and get as close to him as we can as we come around to hitting these pit stops in a lap or two here. We don't want to go too early. We don't want to have to come in for an intermediate for 2 laps. We don't want to do that. We're going to lose about, I'd say we're going to be about 8 seconds slower on the super softs in the rain. That's about 16 seconds. So coming in for a pit stop, we're possibly going to lose. Would lose us about 8 seconds if we pit stop. We might as well wait 2 laps until we've got full wet conditions near enough. Have we got? Ricciardo's already swapped to the wet, so they're going to be pretty slow on these wet tyres, even though it's not even raining yet. Who knows why? I was hoping Hamilton was going to come in and make a mistake and do that earlier. Perez's tyre, Vettel's tyres are pretty worn here, so maybe we can get him on the wets pretty early. He's got a nice big gap. We'll get his pit stop over and done with, and then we can just sort of just let Vettel go to the end of the race. Then we shouldn't be any issues from him. Whereas Perez, we do want to try and chase down Hamilton here. Who's that, 13th? Gutierrez has got a problem here. So where are we? Perez has... Hamilton's actually stayed out on the super soft tyre as well. He's trying the same trick as us. Obviously try to respond to us here. It's a bit damp out on track. These tyres are pretty worn out, so maybe Hamilton's going to start getting away from us here. Maybe we'll have to flick it up to overtake mode. And Vettel wants to pit for inters. It's going to get pretty wet in a lap or two. We're going to go for the wets now. Last time we went for fast, and that's what the mistake was. We're not going to risk a fast pit stop here with Perez. We just want to try and chase down Hamilton before the end of this lap. And it looks like Hamilton's already got a problem with his car as well. So Hamilton dives into the pits. We're diving into the pits. These wet tyres, how many laps can they do? 10 laps, so we can put this in full attack mode here. See how close we can get to Hamilton. How close what happened to Hamilton? Has he had a mistake? Is he coming to fix a part? It looks like he's fixing a part there, so we're back out in we're back out in first and second now. So we don't even need to risk anything here till the end of the race. We've got We've got a few laps left now. We're coming up to some more back markers with Vettel. We've got 30 seconds back to the car in third place. Ricciardo again in the Red Bull. I think Hamilton had a lot of problems with his car in the first race, and the Mercedes are having a lot of problems with their reliability here. It's really messing them up. Sainz is actually beating Hamilton here. I can't remember if Sainz actually was placed higher than Hamilton in the first race as well. But we're now... Should we see if we can get a bit more time with Vettel here? We can obviously run in high mode. Let's just see if we can extend this gap. Look how much we can extend that gap if we actually push this car. If we run it in overtake mode, how much can we extend that gap? Look at that. Just absolutely pulling away from Ricciardo's Red Bull. Just amazing speed on this. Let's just see what sort of time we can get out of this lap before we turn the engine back down. Just a few more corners here. What we're going to get, even on the wet tyre, what can we do? What can we do here? We can do a 127. That doesn't seem like a big, massive gap there, does it? Doesn't seem like a massive leap to what we were doing. It's still about 4 seconds quicker than what Ricciardo's doing, though. Where is Ricciardo coming round? They're quite a long way back. They haven't finished that lap yet. It's going to be a while before we can see what Ricciardo does. So Ricciardo's coming across the line. So what did Ricciardo do that last lap in? A 128? That doesn't seem right. We were pulling away from him quite a bit there. Obviously this time we're still running overtake mode. So what's this lap going to be? We're about 6 tenths quicker. We're going to be in the low 127s here. We actually got a 126. Actually 1.5 seconds quicker. And that is pretty decent from Vettel in that Ferrari. Perez meanwhile has got a 9-second gap to Vettel. He's got a nice big... Is that a 30-second gap? No, that's a 30-second gap to Perez, isn't it? So it's even further than that. I was forgetting that. So it is actually 47 seconds back from Vettel to Ricciardo. What did we get in the first one? Was it 50 odd? 53? Doesn't look like we're going to get quite that high because we're on the final lap now. We're coming around to the finish line without even pushing much of the fuel from Vettel. We've got tons of fuel left. We do have some fuel left over with Perez as well. So it's going to be a long time before these... It looks like Red Bull are going to be the closest challenger for a while because Mercedes are having a lot of reliability problems. Whereas Vettel and Perez are both now finished. We're still waiting for all the other cars behind us to finish. Ricciardo here. Where is Ricciardo? He's got quite a gap to Sainz behind him. You've got Carlos Sainz coming around in 4th. Hamilton's got 5th. Alonso done quite well in the McLaren, obviously. That is pretty decent. Where is the other McLaren of Marciello? In 12th, so that's not too bad from Marciello. We've got Verstappen all the way back in 8th. We've got the Force India of Hulkenberg and the Williams of Bottas rounding out the top 10. We've got Verline all the way up here in a manor in 7th place. So obviously they have benefited. His car's broken down right at the end, but maybe he didn't have to pit to make as many changes or repairs to his parts. It's pretty decent from one of the Manors to get up into 7th and one of the McLarens to get up into 6th. That is really good there. Nico Rosberg all the way back down here in 14th. Obviously had some problems with his car. He only actually managed to do 12, 14, 50, 17 laps, so we must have lapped Rosberg twice. Checking the cars, we don't have any risky parts here, so where were we overall there? 40 seconds back to Ricciardo. Absolutely brilliant. So we are now 1st and 2nd still. Vettel 50 points, so he's got the full points that he could get. Perez 2 second places. We're now 46 points ahead of Red Bull in 2nd. Mercedes lagging a little behind Red Bull here in 3rd. We got the Williams in 4th. McLaren doing a little bit better than last season in 5th. Manor picked up some nice points in that race that they're now 6th and beating out Toro Rosso and Force India with the strong lineup of Hulkenberg and Raikkonen really struggling. I don't know whether they're having reliability problems, but they're all the way back down in 8th with only 3 points scored this season. So another amazing race there from us, another 1st and 2nd. It looks like that could be the situation for the foreseeable future here. Perez making a little bit of gain. Schumacher making quite a lot of gain here, so he might be caught up by the end of the season if we keep giving him the odd practice session, or maybe more than the odd practice session. Made £2.5 million there, now over £5 million. So we're going to have the money to do whatever we want this season. HQ wise, going to be able to build a few nice additions to the HQ. We should have a couple more sponsorship offers coming up. So should we go? We'll just go that far. just to see. And it sounds like we've got them here. Let's just see if we've got any 5-star sponsors now. We've got this one, Bellitas, whoever they are. 3.5 up front, 650,000. That is not much more than the last one. They were offering 650,000 up front, but only 2.5. They were offering 2.5 up front, but the same amount fixed per race. We've got this one from Max Velocity, £750,000 per race, 2.5, but it's going to last 15 races. Should we wait one more race and see if we can get another offer in here? We're going to wait one more race just to see what that last offer is. We're not in any need for money here. So what is GP2 doing? I don't think they've had their second race yet, have they? So that's it for this episode. Next time out we've got the Shanghai Grand Prix. Obviously it says Beijing here. Hopefully that might be fixed for next time, but we'll just have to wait and see. So thank you everybody for subscribing, liking and commenting on my videos. I think we're closing in on 400 subscribers now. Obviously it was a long time since the last update, possibly 6 days was it? But that's because we were waiting for the update to come out. The update hasn't come out, or I had to do a few things myself to try and fix this one. Hopefully next time everything should be back to normal fully, where we've got all the race names and everything back in order. But until next time, I will see you down the road in Shanghai for the for the Chinese Grand Prix, and goodbye.